with us. We're going to bring you a fair bit from the studio throughout the rest of the morning. I'll be having a look at the Supreme Novices Hurdle, focusing in on Talk the Talk's chance. I'll also have a look at what is a very competitive Arkle. Really looking forward to seeing how the horses jump in that race, and we'll look back and see what their Race IQ Jump Index scores have been in the past. So lots to look forward to here in the studio throughout the rest of the programme. But this is the card. This is what you'll be able to enjoy with us throughout the afternoon, and what a card it is. The going is good to soft. They had a tiny bit of rain overnight. They put a bit of water on yesterday because it was almost good ground. I think they want good to soft ground. That's what they've got, and we start at 1:20 with the Sky Bet Supreme Novices Hurdle. This is a fantastically competitive race, and it's over 2 miles, of course. Arkle comes up at 2 o'clock, 2 miles for that Grade 1 Novice Chase. Fred Winter Juvenile Hurdle, as it used to be called, that's at 2:40 over 2 miles. We've got the Ultima, that comes up at 3:20 over 3 miles. The Unibet Champion Hurdle, Grade 1, over 2 miles at 4 o'clock. Will Lossy Mouth have enough speed for that? I think she will. And the boys will be discussing that a little bit later on. Handicap Chase, 2.5 miles, the Sun Racing Plate, and the 5:20, the National Hunt Challenge Cup Novices Handicap Chase, over 3 miles and 6 furlongs, 7 races in total. Then the ground is good to soft. I need to tell you about one non-runner. It's in the Arkle. Mambo number 5 is not taking part. We have 6 runners going to post for the Arkle this afternoon. Now, there's lots for you on the website. I'd like to direct you to it because there's all sorts going on there. You'll get latest and breaking news. There'll be tips on the website. Lots more for you to enjoy. So just have the website open as you're watching our coverage today, and you'll be able to pick up loads of insights, tips and views on there. And in the results section, you'll be able to see all of the Race IQ information as well. So please do log into the website. There's an awful lot of information there for you. You might want to enter the Cheltenham Challenge as well. Good prizes on offer for this. Daily prizes. Today you can win a year's subscription to Racing TV. Tomorrow you can win a very big TV, year's subscription on day 3, and a TV again on day 4. You can enter for free. You've got to tip the horses in every single race today, so all 7 races. You can scan that QR code there to get involved. So quickly run to your TV screen, scan that, have a go at it. It's free, so you might as well. Or you can go to racingtv.com/games to enter. It's rather like the Full SP Challenge that we do on a Saturday, but this is the Cheltenham Challenge. It'll be running every single day for some really good prizes. So that's what's coming up from the studio throughout the rest of the morning. But we are going to go back to our team on course now. Here's Gary, joined by Dan and Don.
Angus, thanks so much. Yes, been joined, as you can see, by 2 of the best minds in the business to help try and unravel an intriguing opening day card here at Cheltenham. Dan, Don, welcome along. Don, I'll come to you first of all. Is the excitement still as high as it ever is ahead of the first day of the Cheltenham Festival 2026?
Tuesday, Cheltenham, Gary, Champion Hurdle Day. What a brilliant time of year. It's all stretching out in front of us now. 28 races, 7 races today, and then it rolls on. The ground is, as Angus was saying, good to soft, sun shining, should be perfect National Hunt ground. But yeah, look, we're on the cusp of it now. Yeah, looking forward to it lots.
Just how strong do you feel the Irish Challenge is this year? Because I'm keen to hear what Dan reckons the home prospects are this time around.
Look, it's strong, Gary. And it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. I did a little bit of work in terms of anti-post odds and how many winners Irish versus British runner trainers would have, and I came out at 17.11, which it seems to be around about where the market is. There was 28 last year, but look, the British, some of the British trainers this season have been really, really strong. Dan Skelton's having an unbelievable season, Ollie Murphy as well, and a few others, Paul Nichols and Nicky Henderson. Obviously, they're back. So no, but look, Willie Mullins has got his battalions over. Gordon Elliott likewise, Henry de Bromhead, Gavin Cromwell's having a little bit of a resurgence of form and has a nice team as well. I know there's lots of Irish trainers are over with, a couple of horses. Paul Nolan's got a really strong and interesting team. So look, I think it's a good undercurrent that runs through the meeting, the Irish versus British. I know that the Presbytery Cup, and you can argue it doesn't matter where it's trained. It's you're into good National Hunt racing and good National Hunt horses, and we are. But I still think it's an interesting to monitor that as we go through the week.
Yeah,
Dan, I was going to say there's an awful lot of optimism amongst the British trainers this year, isn't there?
Certainly more so, and probably with good reason, albeit you feel like a lot of that centres around two trainers, and it's Skelton, who I don't think you have to dig very deep into many races to see another interesting Skelton horse who looks either to have been given a break intentionally for Cheltenham or just looks very promising and has strong claims. And obviously Nicky Henderson, who, as ever, will be providing two of the three bigger guns. As Don's saying, the backdrop, I don't really care where they trained as a rule. I'm more interested in, do I think that's a bet and do I want to back it? But when you're in British racing every day and away from the Cheltenham Festival, you don't really want it to be under a cloud with everyone saying, oh, this is dismal, the Irish have wiped the floor with us again. So there is that part of it, because you want to be working within a really thriving British racing industry. And this might be as close as it's been for a while, but I'm pretty sure we know where that Prestbury Cup will be staying afterwards.
We're obviously going to talk in a lot of detail about the opening day card in due course, guys, but just looking at it in the round, who do you think has maybe the stronger chances on day one? Would you be expecting Britain to be leading after the Tuesday at least, then?
Well, if they're not leading after the Tuesday, it might be pretty grim reading for the end of the week, because you've got a strong chance in the opener with a favourite who looks very promising, Old Park Star, but a supporting cast as well, My Daddy Paddy, etc. And clearly Lamba, who's won a Game Spirit Chase run against novices, including Kopek de Board. So it may be 2-0 Henderson after race 2, for all we know. But that's not to say either are penalty kicks by any means. Obviously, just a quick test this time around, isn't it, for the new format? Fred Winter now the third race on the opening day in a change of tack.
And Don, you touched on the ground a little bit earlier on then. It's a question that we ask most years, but the Irish horses have been running on really heavy ground. It's been heavy over here a lot of the time as well, but how much of a culture shock will that be to some of them, if at all, this week?
Yeah, I think it's a factor, Gary. It always is. Every year, you know, we base our assessments on deep winter ground, winter racing. We come to Cheltenham and, you know, a couple of weeks out, everybody goes, the water table has never been higher. It can't be good to soft ground come Cheltenham, and every year it is. And even, you know, talk about watering the new course there the other day. So look, it's going to be different. A lot of horses will be faced with, especially the novices, the youngsters, faced with a test that they haven't been faced with before, with the speed and the intensity and the level of competition that they're going to be faced with here on better ground than they've encountered all winter. So it's a case of who's going to cope with that. And
do you guys think it's an attractive punting card, the opening session, or are there better opportunities maybe further down the line?
I tend to work, obviously you want to be across day 1 to day 4, but there's a lot of wasted time, isn't there, looking at races before decks are there. So I'm pretty much in the moment first 2 days as we speak, and I quite like the shape of the first 2 days cards. And today we've got the handicaps that end the card that are competitive, and you're getting prices about horses that, this is what we say every year, you're getting double figures about horses that if they're running a couple of days earlier, even on a big Saturday fixture or Sunday fixture, would be single figure price and short price favourites. So yeah, I don't mind the handicaps at all. And
for people who like an interest across the 4 days, Don, a market that often is at the top of the agenda is the leading jockey at the fixture. Paul Townend is going to be favourite for that basically every year, probably until he retires. But Mark Walsh, I know a lot of people, a man we've been speaking about a lot in recent months for obvious reasons, has come onto a lot of radars. Do you reckon he will have a big week?
Yeah, I like you can see it, Gary. Yeah, he's got some great rides. He had a brilliant Dublin Racing Festival. All those JP McManus horses going to be riding the Irish trained JP McManus horses plus Jaguar. He's coming for the riding Jaguar today as well. No, he could have a hell of a week. I thought Jack Kennedy was a little bit underrated in that market, actually. I think Gordon Elliott and Jack Kennedy are going to have a really good week. He doesn't have maybe the big headline horses that Paul Townend or Mark Walsh has, but he's got plenty of good rides. And yeah, I thought he should have been a bit closer to Paul Townend and Mark Walsh in the market than he was. And of course, Gordon Elliott's his governor. Dan, last year he had to wait until the final race. That's hardly going to happen this time around. He could get off the mark in the very first, couldn't he? He could, and without Kairos. And I think that's been a theme throughout the Irish jump season, hasn't it? The fact that Gordon, not that he'd ever lie down, has been trading punches with Willie now for ages. He's had big festivals that he's been the dominant force. I actually thought, and I mentioned the jockeys market, one thing I did earlier in the week, saw Skelton was 3-1 without Willie. So that was the way I was looking to play. Gordon was second favourite, and I can totally see it.
But then you've got Woodoo, who's the one short price standout, I think it's fair to say, for the stable during the week. And there's a lot of 4s, 5s chances. Skelton's got quite a lot of those as well, and I did think there was a chance that he might be the value to finish second, but no prizes for guessing who'll win it.
No, short price favourite as ever in that particular market. It's all stretching out beautifully ahead of us then. Sun is shining here at Cheltenham ahead of the opening day action. Looking forward to previewing all of the Grade 1 action here on the first day card in due course. I think now we're going to go out and rejoin Niall.
There is an illustrious roll call of winners for the Unibet Champion Hurdle. Take you back 10 years, right back to Annie Power in 2016. Bouvedere winning it a couple of times for Nicky Henderson in 17 and 18. Espoir d'Allen, Big Shock, Mark Walsh and Gavin Cromwell. Epatante for Nicky Henderson, who's got a great record in the race. Honeysuckle twice in 21 and 22. Constitution Hill in 2023. State Man in 2024. And then Golden Ace in 2025, and the drama of that race will be hard to replicate.
Halfway, fifth line of hurdles, and Constitution Hill is down. And State Man is drawing clear, and the last flight, he's down. State Man has gone, and it's Golden Ace left in front, and Golden Ace and Lorcan Williams are going to win the Unibet Champion Hurdle at a huge price.
Jubilant Jeremy Scott after Golden Ace won that dramatic Champion Hurdle last year. Who's going to win it this year? Well, Bet365, I think Lossy Mouth will. She's the 7-4 favourite. The new line, 11-4. Brighterdaysahead is 5-1. Golden Ace, last year's winner, 11's Alexi, 16-1 for the Tizzards. Ponyross, Danny Mullins on board, 16-1 for Ponyross. Amsterdam, oh, he's just got to settle, this fella. Very talented, but he pulls hard, 25-1. Tutti Quanti supplemented by Paul Nicholls, 25s. And Work Ahead, 100-1. So we've got 9 runners heading to post for the Unibet Champion Hurdle. Brighter Days Ahead is a fantastic mare on her day. She hasn't got a particularly good Cheltenham record, but she is very talented indeed. She got the better of Lossy Mouth coming into the Champion Hurdle, and there could be a bit more to come from her. Jack Kennedy on board for Gordon Elliott. He won't thank me for this particular stat, Gordon, but a stat is a stat. Last 12 months at Cheltenham, 71 runners, 3 winners, 4.23% is strike rate, and an AFV that you'd like to be around about 1 at 0.59. Just as records are there to be broken, stats are there to be busted, and this might be the year when he does just that. Here he is with Lisa O'Neill.
At the moment, more than likely it's going to be the champion, most definitely, I'd say. She's had a good preparation. She's only 2 runs underneath her belt. She's going there fresh. She looks great. You know, obviously it's not ideal. She hasn't won in her 2 runs at Cheltenham, but I think the first year she ran a very good race. Just didn't happen on the day. You know, last year we had a reason, obviously, as you know, she had a little issue with her knee, but we've rectified that, and she seems in a good place. We're very, very happy with her. Look, we've been to the Champion Hurdle, obviously with 2 mares before, being close to favourite in Apples Jade and the mare last year. So we're not going to underestimate anything. But we're really looking forward to it, and I think she's in great form, and I'm looking forward to the race.
I suppose the public persona is that she doesn't act in Cheltenham. I think we'd both disagree with that, would we? Yeah,
definitely, to be honest. I think she didn't do anything wrong the last day, or the first day, sorry, Jack, I'll tell you. I don't think him and Paul were looking at each other. And I think Golden Ace, you know, who's a super mare in her own right, came and bet both of them. Yeah, look, obviously it's not ideal, but we'll do a few things different this year. We might stable her somewhere different, change a few things around travelling her, but it doesn't concern me. I suppose the reason it doesn't is if she hadn't have won in the UK before, it probably would be a bigger worry. But she's been to Aintree and she was awesome. So for me, it's a concern, but it's not a massive worry.
Could be a monumental opening day for Gordon Elliott, and brighter days ahead, carrying his hopes in our feature event. Here is her win in the Irish equivalent at Leopardstown last time, where she took down Lossy Mouth. Dom, we've got this rematch thankfully to look forward to today with Lossiemouth given the green light. But let's talk about the winner here first of all, as we should do. Brighterdaysahead. She's a wonderful mare on her day. How confident are you that we'll see the best of her today?
Yeah, every chance, Gary, as Gordon Elliott was saying there to Lisa. If you want to find reasons for her 2 disappointing runs here, you can. It might not be down to the track, and that's going to be fascinating to see how that pans out. But this day, Lossiemouth probably wasn't at her best, but Brighterdaysahead, she only had a length to find with Lossiemouth on the running in over Christmas, and that was the first run back after a long break. She found that and all of that. Like, it was a fairly attritional contest. She got out and made it so, and Lossiemouth just couldn't get to her, and they finished well clear of Anzadam and Poneros. So it was a massive performance. She is, like, her best runs have been at Leopardstown, but if you subscribe to the notion that in the Mares Novices Hurdle they went no gallop, it didn't suit her, and she was beaten by a future champion hurdle winner, and then last time she had that issue with her knee. You know, you have to put a line through those Cheltenham runs, but it may be that the reasons for her runs were something other than the track, and if she reproduces her Leopardstown run there, she's the one they have to beat.
Dan, Lossiemouth has been all the rage since she's been confirmed for the race. I'm really surprised, to be honest, she's as short as she is. Does she deserve to be 7-4 favourite to win the Champion Hurdle?
Well, it's a blemish-free Cheltenham record we're discussing, and it's a mare who everyone's been aching for her to run in this race for 3 or 4 years now, ever since she burst on the scene with that winning a Triumph. She's got to reverse form. You could argue that conditions will be more in her favour. I think she's got more form away from background than Brighterdaysahead has. And ultimately, there's like Katie Taylor and Nicola Adams. Those are like 2 prize fighters just competing with each other through most of the season. But then at Cheltenham, they're now in a championship race, and Brighterdaysahead did falter, albeit with the excuse of this knee issue last season. So I wouldn't be backing her at 7-4 anyway. I do think she's solid, and I think she'll turn up and she'll perform to a good level. But in keeping with the Champion Hurdle picture as a whole, without State Man, without Segino, that level is not up there with what some of the better Champion Hurdles of recent times are capable of.
Willie Mullins' record in the Champion Hurdle is not too shabby. We can have a look back at his previous winners there on the graphic, and of course I think most would agree there would have been another one to add for that 12 months ago were it not for State Man's fall. Donny's also got Poneros and Anzadam in there. I know you think Poneros could outrun his odds. Tell us how you see the rematch with Lossiemouth and Brighterdaysahead as well.
Yeah, look, I think Lossiemouth, it's correct that she's favourite. I think she's the right favourite for the race. I would have Brighterdaysahead closer to her in the market than she is, and that might still come to be. But yeah, Poneros, like, he won the Triumph Hurdle last year 100-1 and caused a rule change in the race. But that was his first run of our hurdles. He didn't run then after Royal Ascot until he ran in the Irish Champion Hurdle that we saw there. And Willie Mullins did this with Lossiemouth when it's hard for the 5-year-olds, but he did this with Lossiemouth. She didn't return until the January. She won the International Hurdle, then won the Mares Hurdle, then won at Punchestown. And Poneros likewise started off in the Irish Champion Hurdle. Okay, they went very fast up front, but his final furlong was the fastest. So if he can come forward from that, he's 1 for 1 at Cheltenham. He's a classy horse off the flat, rated in the low 90s. And yeah, I can see him running a race and maybe surprising 1 or 2 people.
Don's point about the market is an interesting one, isn't it? Because last year, Brighterdaysahead in particular, this is reference to, she's what, 4-1, 9-2 this time around, 5-1 it is. 12 months ago, she was 5-2 in a field that had State Man in it and Constitution Hill. So if anybody was a fan of her last year and are willing to put a line through last season's performance because the excuses that Gordon's raised due to the injury, then she's twice the price. And her run last time in defeating Lossy Mouth suggests that all the ability's still there. So it does dangle a carrot, that.
Let's concentrate on the big home hope then, the new Lion. And Dan Skelton's faith in this horse is pretty much unshakable, as I think we all know at this stage. Let's just hear it in his own words. He's been speaking to Sam Turner in the build-up.
He took massive chance in the Challow halfway down the back, and he took 2 massive chances at the festival. The second last was even chancier than the last. In our sport, perhaps behind the cameras, we sometimes say that was coming, but we've worked with him and we feel like we've sharpened him up, and I think the ride Harry gave him in the International was excellent because he held him into the bottom of all the jumps and sort of reassured him that he can go in close and touch the board if he had to, and that was going to be fine, because ultimately the chances he took were by being competitive. They weren't chances by being indecisive.
No.
They were competitive chances, like, yeah, let's go.
I want to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes with young horses especially, you have to temper that enthusiasm.
And the International, obviously, it was a bit of a no race in some, but it answered the question that, yeah, can he quicken off a very slow, sluggish pace? Yeah,
he can go fast.
So the drop to 2 is at that level has never been a concern.
No concern. It was a question over the summer, massive question. But I feel like, and I think I've said it before, like, we've got to talk about something, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing that people want to talk about with him. But I think it's been over-talked about now, and I think he's answered the question. And I think what it actually comes down to now is he good enough?
Yeah.
Is he good enough to win a Champion Hurdle? He's good enough to win an International, you know?
Yeah.
That's a good 2-mile race, and he quickened up very well. OK, he beat 2 horses that numerically he should have done. But he still did, and he still did it handsomely.
So we're going to show you the new Lions warm-up for today. It did, of course, come here at Cheltenham on Trials Day. This was the race where, sadly, Sergino was not involved at the finish due to that unfortunate incident earlier on in this Unibet Hurdle, registered as the International. Dan, I've heard people knocking him for what he did this day. I'm surprised by that, because to me he was just ridden to pick off the other 2 as late as possible almost here. It's his overall body of work I think we need to discuss as far as today is concerned. Does it stand up to close scrutiny, do you feel?
Well, he probably hasn't got the same level of form at the moment as Lossy Mouth, but opportunity is a huge part of that. He's just out of his novice season. He's had 2 goes in open company. I agree. Like, people were dismissing this as some worthless piece of form, and nobody's going to say it's Champion Hurdle winning form, but the other 2 are not mugs. Me and Lions are pretty solid high 140s.
If you'd asked Lossy Mouth to Brighter Days Ahead to do what he done, I don't think they'd have done it any easier.
Yeah, that's how I'm viewing it. I don't think there's. I think even though that's perhaps a flimsy piece of evidence, there was enough in his turn of pace there to settle that race down the middle of the track in a sprint finish to suggest that he has got the tools for a Champion Hurdle. And for me, he just strikes as the up-and-comer. He's the one whose ceiling is yet to be established. I think we know where we sit with the others. Brighter Days Ahead, for instance, she'll never eclipse the figures she ran to when she was so dominant in Ireland last season, for instance. I like his profile going into the race. Interesting point, actually, Champion Hurdle as a general observation. It isn't a vintage crop at the minute. In fact, got some data on this. Back in the sort of 2000 to 2010, 60-odd% of horses that ran in a Supreme then ran in a hurdles race at the following year's festival. The last 15 years, that's down into the 30s as horses are going chasing earlier, and so many of those Henderson horses will be good examples of that. This time around, the new Lion's gone that more conventional route. He's won a race at the festival last season, which has been a pretty rich source of Champion Hurdle winners, whether they won it or that race or not. You look at Rock and Ruby, Faheen, Isterbrack, Hardy Eustace, all dropping back in trip to win champions in later years, and I think he's a massive player. I don't think we've got to the ceiling of his ability, and ultimately, I think he would have beaten last year's winner by 2 or 3 lengths had he stood up in the fighting fifth at Newcastle.
That's it, and Donny is a festival winner. Have you got any concern about his jumping? I've heard some analysts just maybe concerned that they've seen the propensity to step at the hurdle a bit too often.
He's brave, isn't he? Like he's very brave, and that cost him in the fighting fifth hurdle. And the last day in the International Hurdle, Harry Skelton rode him conservatively, rode him defensively, and I think the objective was just to get him around safely. Like, he was going in tight to his hurdles. So as you say, that's not Champion Hurdle winning form. It's good form, but not Champion Hurdle winning form. But he's better than that, we know that. And actually he did well to quicken up on the far side, away from the favourite stands rail, off a slow pace. So it was job done, but I think he's going to have to improve a lot on that to beat Lossy Mouth and a peak form Brighter Days Ahead. I just thought when he won the Birmingham Hurdle last year, all of a sudden he became very fashionable. He became the Champion Hurdle, the new kid on the block, the one who was going to go, and he was put in a very short price, 12 months out for a Champion Hurdle, and that theme has persisted through the year, even in the fighting fifth hurdle when he fell. Yeah, maybe he would have won. I'm not certain that he would have, but he may have won. We'll never know for sure. But I just think that I still think that he has to prove that he's up to the level that Lossy Mouth sets.
It's taken a little bit of time, but we're finally going to talk about the defending champion in this year's Unibet Champion Hurdle. It is, isn't it? And who's to say she won't take down some higher profile names again today? This was Golden Ace's finest hour 12 months ago when Connections decided to roll the big dice and were spectacularly rewarded. Don, I'll come to you first on Golden Ace. She's had a lightish campaign so far. We haven't seen her since the run behind Sergino at Kempton. We'll come on to that in just a second. How big a player is she this time around?
She's the reigning champ, Gary. She's the title holder. Of course, she was a fortunate winner last year. Stayman would have won, but she was there. They took a chance. They put her in the race, and she's there to go and win it. And she's won. She's won impressively in the end.
I think she'd have really got close to Stayman. She wouldn't have beaten him, but I think she'd have got to within.
Yeah, again, we'll never know. But he was clear on the run to the final flight. But look, you know, she's unheralded. I think she is beginning to get the recognition that she's due here in the Christmas Hurdle at Kempton. This is her last run. She's no match for Sergino, and this shows you how big a loss Sergino is. But she's run well to finish second behind him. She's coming on here back at Cheltenham, where, don't forget, she's won the Mayor's Novices Hurdle as well, and she's won a Champion Hurdle, so it's a track that suits her really well. And she beat Amsterdam in the Fighting Fifth Hurdle after the new line had departed, so she's got that in her CV as well. And you know, you can't always say she's been lucky. She's a top-class mare who's the title holder, and she deserves her place high in the market. I think she's going to have to be better than she was last year if she's going to win it again.
Where do you see her fitting in, Dan, if they all stand up, God willing?
Well, she's the one amongst the main contenders. Maybe Lossy Mouth, you would say, too, who are more likely to show the form, I think. And the new line has still, as Don saying, still got to prove it at championship level in open company. And Brighterdaysahead does still have a slight cloud, to me anyway, hanging over her when it comes to Cheltenham. But she has beaten Brighterdaysahead twice on both festival visits. And the thing that's interesting is, as you were saying then, or alluding to anyway, her strength at the finish last year, it's easy just to focus on the facts, and I would focus on it because I was so keen on Stateman last year, and that's actually pretty hard to view that again. The fact that once she's left clear, she does motor late on and puts it to bed. She's honest, she travels, and she finds her pressure. She isn't top-notch, but she'll run to a level, and she'd be a play spot banker, wouldn't she, if nothing else?
I think she'll definitely be in a lot of perms in that particular bet this afternoon. One more we're going to have a look at. Could there potentially be a fly in the ointment? What about Alexi for trainer Joe Tizard, who obviously has been involved in many big days here at Cheltenham in the past in other guises? He's the licence holder in his own right these days. Dan, Alexi in the Champion Hurdle, a huge day for everyone concerned. Here's his win in the Kingwell at Wincanton. How much do you reckon he's got to find to be competitive? Yeah,
I think he's got a fair bit, maybe another 10 or so. But he's a very likeable horse whose form has been going the right way pretty much all season. It's a slightly old school profile. You're thinking horses like Rooster Booster coming through the handicap ranks and then getting themselves into the Champion Hurdle pitch. I remember flagging it up to Nick Luck a while back that this is in an open year when Sean of Stateman. This is a horse who at that stage looked like he might develop into that sort of horse, so mid to high 150s, which might be enough to have you on the premises today. But this is the biggest test of his career. He travels, that's one thing. I think he'll travel in a good race, but is he going to pick up as strongly as some of these established Champion Hurdle types? That would be the negative. Place prospects at best, I suppose.
Don, I know you've made a case for Poneros getting competitive. Can you see Alexi or any of the others we haven't spoken about in the mix?
Alexi, he's interesting. He's the Greatwood Hurdle winner, so obviously course form. And as Dan was saying, Rooster Booster, he won the Greatwood Hurdle. I think he was rated in the 150s. Alexi was 134, so he's got a long way to go to be a Champion Hurdle contender. But sizing Europe, when he won the Greatwood Hurdle, he was rated similarly, I think a little bit lower than Alexi was. And I know sizing Europe didn't win the Champion Hurdle, but he would have if he hadn't got injured at the second last flight. So it's not unprecedented to make that level of progress. I thought in the Kingwell Hurdle the last day, he had way more in hand than the bare winning margin against Robo. He was just kind of nearly not toying with them, but just wasn't asked for maximum effort until quite late in the piece. So I think he was value for a good bit more than the winning margin the last day. And yeah, he definitely deserves his place in the lineup.
And the other one with handicap form who's bidding to make the jump is Tutti Quanti, supplemented for it after his win by a wide margin on testing ground at Newbury. But I think it's hard to get out of your head how badly he struggled at the festival last season when he ran in the Supreme. He looked out of his depth there, and is a wide margin win on testing ground in a handicap suddenly an announcement that this is a genuine Champion Hurdle candidate? I'm not so sure.
Okay, decision time. Don, give it a name.
I'm with Poneros each way.
Good man. Dan?
3 words, the new lion.
I'm going to stick with the new lion as well. The race not to be missed, and the Unibet Champion Hurdle, our feature event on day 1 here at Cheltenham at 4 o'clock. We'll be back with you shortly. Now, though, we're going to rejoin Tumble.
Well, here at Cheltenham, we have the best view in the house. That is me, alongside Pat Cooney from Bet365. Later on, just after 4 o'clock, this winners' enclosure is going to be rocking and rolling, no doubt. Pat, how are you? Looking forward to the day, I hope?
Yeah, absolutely. Build-up has been tremendous, hasn't it? And, well, we're here now. The ground's good. The weather is fantastic. So bring it on. 28 races. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
You were just saying to me you're going to need some sun cream at some point today. It's quite surprising, actually, the way the weather's turned.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's rain from 6 o'clock tonight. So this is the best day for it. So I wouldn't be looking at the heavy ground horses today, that's for sure.
No, certainly not. I couldn't believe, actually, when I went out to the track earlier on, just how far away the final flight of hurdles is from the finish line. It is over a furlong. That might help, it might hinder some horses today. Let's start by talking about the Champion Hurdle, shall we, Pat? And I know that you were saying to me a moment ago that all the money is for Lossiemouth.
Yeah, it's a real huge move for this. It's all one-way traffic for Lossiemouth. I think she'd be around about 13 to 8. I actually think she'd be nearer 6 to 4 and maybe even under that, because there's just no support for anything else in the race now. Obviously, with ease and the other horses in the race, like Brighterdaysahead, you can back her at 5 to 1 now, which was unthinkable a couple of days ago. So at some point, the 5 to 1 will be taken. But from our liability point of view, we came into the Champion Hurdle thinking we don't care what they back. We'll have the others. It's that type of a race. We might even get a shock result in the race, but it's a huge liability now, Lossiemouth. And who knows what the scoreboard will look like come then. You know, maybe Willie Mullins will have had 1, 2 or even 3 winners by then. So it's an exciting day, but you are hiding behind the sofa a little bit with all the multiples and the big liabilities coming up. But there's no denying Lossiemouth will continue to shorten in the market. I've no doubt on that one.
Yeah, it could be a good day for Willie Mullins. Could be a good day for Nicky Henderson as well. He's got All Park Star in the first, and he's got Lulamba in the Arkle. Let's start by looking at the Supreme Novices Hurdle in terms of the markets. All Park Star strong.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a real solid 9 to 4. We were like 5 to 2, 11 to 4. It had crossed our mind to even go 3 to 1. Such was the depth of the race when we got the overnights through. But it's a pretty ropey result for us, you know, Tom, because he got beaten 3 bumpers last year. I was at Kempton one day, and if you'd told me, having been beaten a bumper at Kempton, he's going to be favourite for the Supreme Hurdle and all the rage for it, I would have fallen over. So it's a deep old race, but he's a very, very popular horse. We're just beginning to pick up Mighty Park now. I think that 6 to 1 will be going. He brings the hype. He's got that time that he clocked as well. So I think that's going to shorten up as well. But a deep old race, there's lots of talented horses at good prices there. And whatever wins that will shape the race as to who'll be favourite in the Arkle. If Nicky wins the first, Lulamba will be favourite. If Willie wins the first, then Kopek will be favourite. But you look at the Arkle, I think we're 6 to 4 each or 2, 4 to 1 on coupled. That gives us Cargisi and Sam Thomas's horse. I don't know, I think I'd rather the 4 to 1 on there, really. So normally as bookmakers, we tend to struggle on day 1. It's a little bit different this time around. We've got 4 handicaps on day 1. So, yeah, we're grateful for that. But as I say, it's a long day ahead for us.
One horse that I wanted to pinpoint from those first 2 races, in terms of a price that I'm quite surprised by, Pat, is El Kairos. He's drifted a bit, and I think he was about 15 to 2 when I last looked this morning.
Yeah, I think he's around about 8 to 1 or so now. And I don't know, I've been listening to people saying, what difference does the extended run-in make to a horse like El Kairos? Well, you've Jack Kennedy on board. Just leave it to him.
Yeah, exactly.
don't be worrying about it. Leave it to him. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. So yeah, he is a player. And of course, when he had that mistake at Leopardstown over Christmas, I think we all loved him that day, and he was pretty much favourite for the Supreme after that. But Old Park Star, he scooted around Haydock in a fast time. So he's certainly a can win, isn't he? I mean, I think the Supreme Hurdle winner is a better horse than whatever wins the Champion Hurdle winner this year. So that opens it up for the future going forward, which is great.
Yeah, could well be. I agree with you, actually. 4 handicaps on the card, the Fred Winter, the Ultima, the Plate, and ending the card, the National Hunt Chase. Any moves and shakers in those markets?
Well, by far the most popular time has been Jaguar, who's been a bit of a bookmaker's friend, it must be said. But every time he runs with a great deal of credit, and he only goes up nominally in the handicap. He's been all the rage in his handicap. He's round about 3 to 1. But there's great each-way terms. We're each-way the first 6 in the first 2 handicaps, and first 5 the closing 2 handicaps. So, you know, having having looked at the handicaps for like the last 2 weeks or so, I can't help but think I must be good enough to get one in the first 6 if I have a bet. So the each-way angles are definitely value for there. There's no real great movers and shakers in value terms in the races 1, 2 and 5. I think the handicaps is what focus on, and first 6 places in some of those races, you could draw a line through maybe half a dozen of them, and that's a big offer, you know. I'm slightly confused as to why we're so big and bold on day 1, but there we are. Let's bet 365 for you.
Exactly right, bold and big. Finally, Pat, your nap of the day, what would that be?
I'm in the Kopek to Ball fan club. I think Lulamba, he's that type of horse, isn't he? We're going to be saying about Lulamba, I can't wait to see him over further. Kopek could be 10 lengths clear of him bowling along, so I'm a Kopek fan.
Okay, Pat, thanks very much for your time. Hope you enjoy the day.
Thanks very much.
No doubt you'll be hoping for a bright day for the bookies.
Mark your car. Proudly sponsored by Timeform.
Join the Racing TV team live from 9:45 AM every day of the festival for all 7 races. The best pundits in the business, all of the festival atmosphere, the best insights, the best analysis. This is Cheltenham on Racing TV.
Heading to the final flight, here's Summergrounds to the outside to join issue at the last hurdle. Summergrounds goes on to win the Racing Post Go North Handicap Hurdle. Jumping away over 3 miles for the Ladbrokes Go North Brindisi Breeze Hurdle Series final. Pick the pocket of Punxsutawney Phil late and gets up to win. Fierce Warrior. And they're off for the Go North Cab on Target Handicap Hurdle Series final. This is going to go to Starlight. Lucinda Russell at the double. She's having a great Go North weekend.
The last fence, can they get to Red Happy? Over by 2.5 lengths. With his ears pricked, he comes to the line to win it for the Bewleys. A hat-trick for Red Happy.
Mark your car. Proudly sponsored by Timeform.
And it's time to find out the all-important going with John Pullen. You look quite relaxed. Are you relaxed?
I wouldn't say that, but yeah. No, we're in a good place. We're happy with where we're starting the meeting. Track's in good condition. It's really picked up over the last couple of weeks. We've got great covering of grass, and we're starting on good to soft ground, so sort of happy with where we are.
It's been a hard winter. It's been a hard winter for everyone, a very wet winter, but it's amazing you get into the March, you get a bit more light, you get a bit of heat and a bit of grass growth.
That's it, exactly. You know, we've had one of the wettest starts of the year here for a number of years, but we switched from that very quickly to very dry. And there's plenty of moisture through the profile. It's just the top that over the last sort of week, 10 days has been drying out. So we did a little bit of selective irrigation on this old course yesterday, not everywhere, but just the areas that were starting to tighten up. And yeah, we're as I say, good to soft. Going stick reading for today is 5.5.
And that's where you aim to be, isn't it?
It is. Interestingly enough, we started the meeting last year at 5.5 as well. So it's that 5.5 is right in our good to soft range.
And what's the forecast? Squally showers sort of later on today?
Yeah, we'll be dry through racing, and then after racing and through the night, we could see a couple of showers. Most of the forecasts are suggesting sort of 2 to 3 millimetres, and then dry through tomorrow as well. So 2 or 3 mil tonight would just freshen it up nicely for tomorrow as well.
And then move on the new track, obviously Thursday and Friday. Bit more rain Thursday?
Yes, yeah. So we're in a similar position on the new course at this stage. So and again 5.5 on the new course. But yes, Thursday afternoon we see another band of rain move in. During the afternoon it shouldn't be too heavy, perhaps a millimetre or 2 through racing, but it continues through the night into the early hours, and some forecasts suggesting up to double-digit rainfall. So you know, somewhere between sort of 5 and 10 mil possible Thursday night. Yes.
Could that turn the ground? Obviously, water table high enough later on in the week.
Yeah, potentially. Obviously, we're relatively dry. We'll see what comes tonight, but we're relatively dry. It's that time of year, as you've just mentioned, that the grass is taking up a bit of moisture as well. But I think if we do hit double digits, then yes, it would soften, definitely.
Yeah. The hurdle, obviously, it's traditionally there throughout the season. You normally pull it forward, but with the winter we've had, you're leaving it there this time.
Yeah, that's right. We just got an area of ground just on this bend away from us that sat very wet through the winter, and obviously we've been sort of deciding our running lines for the festival over the last few weeks, and it's an area that we thought, you know, if we happen to be a wet festival, we wouldn't want to be racing through it. So by leaving the hurdle in its traditional seasonal place, it's allowed us to get a nice running line through and avoid that area. So it's different for the festivals, but it's where it normally is for the rest of the season.
Yeah. And obviously the last week we had the problem in the new course with the drain. You're all happy with that?
Yes, yep. The repair went very well the following week, so happy that that's gone back really well.
Good stuff. We're looking forward to a cracking day's race. Really good card, as you'd expect, but it's deep, isn't it?
It is. Delighted with you know, both numbers and quality. Yeah. It's a really open festival. Should be really competitive. That's what we've been trying to achieve. And no, delighted with where we are, and looking forward to some really good racing throughout the week.
And so are we. Thanks very much for the updates. Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
John Pullen on course with Niall Hannity, giving us a lowdown on conditions. Welcome to you if you're just joining us on Freeview. It's good to have you along here on Racing TV as we preview day one of the Cheltenham Festival 2026. And we are now going to have a look at the opening race on the card, the Sky Bet Supreme Novices Hurdle. Yeah, the Sky Bet Supreme Novices Hurdle due off at 1:20 this afternoon. Here are the 10 previous winners. What a roll call this is. Altior in 2016, LeBake, Big Shock in 2017, Somerville Boy, Classical Dream for Ruby Walsh and Willie Mullins, Shishkin, wow, Appreciate It, Constitution Hill, what a performance that was in 2022. Marine Nationale in 23 for Barry Connell, Slade Steel then for Henry de Bromhead and Rachel Blackmore in 24. And last year, despite a mistake at the last, Kopek de Board, who will probably go off favourite for the Arkle this afternoon. Who's going to go off favourite for the Sky Bet Supreme? Let's have a look at the market and see how it is at the moment. So Old Park Stars, 9-4, Talk the Talk, 5-1 and 6-1 Mighty Park, 7-1 Sober Glory, El Kairos 8-1 and 8-1 My Daddy Paddy, Leader Dallier, that's 11-1, 40s Baron Noir, each to their own. 50s, Cocktail Brute, 50s, 2 Bossy Fuzz and Sageborough, 200-1, 3 runners for Willie Mullins, 2 for Gordon Elliott. It's Old Park Star, who's trained by Nicky Henderson, who is favourite. I'll give you a stat at Old Park Star. He's the only horse in the Supreme this year to have completed his final half mile over hurdles in under 53 seconds. No horse has done that in the field. No horse in the field has run under 53 seconds the final half mile. And guess what? He's done it on every single occasion that he has run. And he is, of course, trained by Nicky Henderson. Here he is with Josh Stacey.
Another star on show this morning was Old Park Star, who's going to be probably a short price favourite for the Supreme Novices Hurdle. He already is. You've trained so many top 2-mile novice hurdlers in the Supreme Novices Hurdle as well to win the race. Where does he fit in with those at this stage of his career?
He's quite a big... There'll be a lot of improvement in this horse. I think there'll be more to come from him next year, where I expect him to go straight over fences. I don't know, we'll see. But, you know, he'd be quite... a little bit more sort of babyish than an Altior or a Shishkin, possibly. But, you know, he's mighty talented. He's got plenty of speed. He's been very impressive the last 2 times. I mean, we just let him follow 2 horses round today, only because he hasn't seen another horse in his last 2 runs. He's been doing it all on his own. And
why was that important? Do you think there's going to be a good bit of pace on in this?
Well, I hardly think we're going to go out with the intention of making the running in the Supreme. It's only those last 2 times nobody else has wanted to go on, and Nico's quite rightly just let him bowl along. The extraordinary thing is how quickly you found that the others couldn't go with him. And they weren't bad horses. So, I mean, yeah, if he found himself in front, nobody would be saying, don't do it.
I spoke to Paul Nicholls, his former trainer, about both Active Innocence and Old Park Star, and he said that he always thought Active Innocence was very classy, but Old Park Star has surprised him. Has he surprised you as well?
Yes, because I think when we started out with them both at the beginning of the season, I thought Active Innocence would probably be the quicker. He's actually he's a very good horse in his own right, but he's definitely the stayer of the two at this moment. In 2 years' time, you'll tell me that how wrong did I get that? When one's running in the over 2 miles and one's over 3. I don't know. We'll see. That's the way they're telling us. They're telling me and Nico at the moment that Act of Innocence is he's finishing strongly. He was very good in the Sydney Banks. 2.5 miles around Huntingdon is hardly a 2 mile 4 test round Cheltenham in a race like this, but yeah, that's what it looks like.
Certainly no question of a soft launch of this year's Cheltenham Festival. What a race this is for openers. And Dan, we're having another look at Old Park Star's demolition job in the Sky Bet Supreme trial, the Russenden Main at Haydock last time. He's already got to a level that would go very close to winning a lot of Supreme Novice Hurdles. I guess the question is, how above average could this edition potentially be? And in that case, how much more will it demand of him?
Yeah, that's quite a good way to frame it, but no doubt to focus on the former point that this was a performance that was right up there with even some of Nicky Henderson's Supreme Novices winners. In fact, on time form ratings, the only horse of Nicky's who came into a Supreme rated high was My Tentor Yours, courtesy of his Betfair Hurdle, because he had the chance to win a handicap, and he finished second to Champagne Fever. But Shishkin, this is this century, of course, so you think like Shishkin, Constitution Hill, and Altior, none came in rated higher than Old Park Star, and he was dismissing a good horse in Hurricane Pat, who'd won a race at Sandown the time before with Sober Glory behind. Yeah, he could be the real deal. The slight negative is, why didn't he win a bumper, albeit with a different stable? And he doesn't seem to be getting talked about, maybe just not a flashy workhorse, doesn't seem to be getting talked about in the same sentence as some of those Henderson greats of recent times.
I think he's won his 3 races done by a cumulative 33 lengths more, maybe even. How good do you reckon he could be potentially?
Yeah, look, he's very good, Gary. He looks very good already. Angus was telling us about the sectionals. He was fastest in each of the last 5 furlongs in the Russenden Main the last time than all his rivals. So, and he's coming on here. Listen to Nicky Henderson talking about him throughout the season. He seems to be getting faster. He's a horse who I think they thought that he might go out and trip earlier in the season, but he's just fast. He's a 2-miler. And yeah, I suppose the one worry is that he's never, and you kind of touched on it there, Gary, he's never faced this level of competition before. I think it's a red-hot Supreme Novices Hurdle at Haydock the last day, small enough field. He had it all to himself from a long way out. Today, it's going to be intense, and well, I suppose they're all in the same boat. Most of them will not have faced the level of competition that they're going to face today. They're young horses, they're novices, but look, he's obviously a very talented horse.
40 years since the first of those Supreme Novice Hurdle winners for Nicky Henderson at River Kerryog. I think he was a 40-to-1 shot that day. This fella is going to be a hell of a lot shorter. Let's have a look at a horse who hasn't achieved anything like as much in terms of his form so far, but basically the sky could be the limit for him, Don. This is the much spoken about Mighty Park, trained by Willie Mullins. The likes of himself, David Casey, Ruby Walsh, they've all been raving about Mighty Park, and in fairness, he did everything right pretty much when making a winning debut over hurdles at Fairyhouse. It's all about potential. I know he clocked a good time this day as well. He's been very easy to back, though, in the last 24 hours or so. Where are you with him at this stage?
Look, again, not quite as pronounced, but similar to the favourite. This is his first run under rules, his first run over hurdles. He finished second in the point-to-point before this. But like on this day, it was quite incredible watching it live. He just got out in front and just went further and further and further away. And he won by 38 lengths. Not many horses win their maiden hurdle by 38 lengths on the first run over hurdles. And the horse that finished second behind him, Rockdino, he ran Alcaros to 3 lengths at Thurles the last day. Now, Rockdino probably improved from that. That was his first run for Willie Mullins. But yeah, Mighty Park, it's pretty awesome what he did. They were kind of oscillating between the Turners and the Supreme. They're going for the Supreme now. Of course, it's a little bit of a worry that he's been so weak, but as well as that, again, he's back into a different level of competition here, taking on other horses. Like there at Fairyhouse, he hardly saw another horse. He just got out in front and did what he did. Today, he's going to be in among horses, probably. He's going to have to fight for position, and he's going to have to show some tactical speed as well. So like he might have all that, but just at the moment we don't know that he does.
It was a bold shout coming here, Dan, wasn't it? Were you surprised when they moved Supreme rather than Turners?
Yeah, to some extent, and it's a pedigree thing as much as anything, isn't it? And I do think if this horse wins it, we may see a star. He may be one of the next big things, but I was chatting to Willie briefly on Nick Luck's podcast this morning out in the middle of the track. His horse, tremendous looker, loads of scope, and sort of posed to Willie, you think he's a very good horse, you know he's a very good horse, but is he a very good 2 mile hurdler? And I think that's the question, isn't it? He's a close relative of Might Bite, who was, what, 140 odd over hurdles, and that was over 2.5 miles. Ended up finishing second in a Gold Cup, winning a King George. On pedigree, he doesn't fit the bill for a Supreme. The other thing to note, I think horses that this century that have gone into a festival, into a Supreme with just one run under the belt, are not from 23. It requires something a bit different. Obviously, it's going to require a lot different from what we saw the other week. So I'd be pretty cold on him. I think I can see why he's drifted. I think he may be very good, but it's a may, and I think there are more negatives at the moment than positives with him.
Let's focus on the real form horse amongst the Irish contingent for this year's curtain raiser at Cheltenham. This is Talk the Talk. He'll run for owners Simon Munir and Isaac Swed, and is trained, of course, by Joseph O'Brien. I think we might be able to hear from Joseph before we see what the guys make of Talk the Talk's chance this afternoon.
Probably a shade unlucky not to be 4 from 4 this year. He's progressed from race to race, and he's a real exciting horse for this year's spring festivals and for the future as well.
You got him coming into this season. At what stage did you believe that he might be able to make up into being a Grade 1 performer?
Well, I suppose when he won at Fairyhouse, you know, at the Grade 3, we thought that, you know, that was a really big performance, and we felt like there was more to come. So we came home from Fairyhouse with a you know, pretty positive mindset about his future.
And then going through the Christmas race, where he didn't necessarily jump too cleanly, to still show that kind of requisite ability to go and be coming to win the race must have been highly pleasing despite the actual result.
Yeah, no, it was. We were very pleased with the horse's performance, and he just overjumped the last, which, you know, any can happen to any horse any time. And but you know, he obviously marked himself as a very talented horse on the day, and even probably exceeded our expectations. And we came home from there, albeit a bit frustrated not to win. We were very excited.
And looking back at the Dublin Racing Festival race, he was held up, slow enough gallop. Actually, quite a lot of things went against him during the race, so it was, can be marked up how well he did to win. I think so, and I think the second and third are 2 high-class horses. Yeah, I think he probably did very well to win in the circumstances, and we seem to have pulled up well, and, you know, in a way, because they really only kind of raced down over the last half mile. They didn't get as hard a race as they might have had it been a real grueling run race on testing conditions. So, you know, in actual fact, he did well to win, and it probably was a good result in the end for us.
He's a very good horse, Talk the Talk, and Don, probably a little bit unlucky not to be unbeaten over hurdles. That fall at Leopardstown that we just relived there a moment ago, preventing him from holding a 100% record. Here's his win at the DRF last time out. What have you made of his progress so far?
This was a really good run, Gary, and he, as you say, deserves to get a Grade 1 win on the board after having fallen at the final flight when he was probably going to win. I know Scott Hustle went to the line strongly, but he probably was going to win, and here they went no gallop through the early part of the race. He's just got up on the line, got the better of King Roscoe Gray and Ballyfad, both good novices. They had Cocktail Brew and Blake back behind them in 4th and 5th places respectively, and they'd finished 1st and 2nd respectively in the Royal Bond Hurdle, a Grade 2 race. So the form is really solid, and yeah, I think a couple of important points on that race. They went no gallop in the early part of the race. He was held up at the back. He was, I think, 8th with 2 furlongs to run, and he showed a turn of foot and pace and class, and also that attitude, a willing attitude to go and get 2 good horses, 2 good novices, and the 3 of them pulled clear. And it was very interesting listening to Joseph O'Brien afterwards. We couldn't hear him on the VT there, I'm not sure what he said, but he did. He said after the race that they were always going to hold him up, that they recognised there wasn't much pace in the race, but they wanted to hold him up and wanted him to learn from the experience, and if that was the reason why he wouldn't win the race, so be it, but they wanted to educate him, wanted him to come forward with that run, and that's what he did. He still was good enough to win the race, I think, against the run of the race, and it's also they're 2 Grade 1 races he's run in, so he's got a high level of competition under his belt as well, and I think he can come forward again today.
Dan, how highly do you rate him? How big a threat is he going to be today?
I do rate him, albeit he's another, wasn't he? it wasn't as late as Mighty Park, but there was some consternation as to whether we'll be talking about a Turner's horse or a Supreme horse. He is going to have to run faster than he's run before. The race in Ireland, where I agree with Don, like so much to admire about that. Ballyfad, King Rasco Grey, good novices, albeit novices viewed as stronger stayers. They're going over the longer distance race. For him to make the ground he did in a steadily run race and get to them was a serious display. That's a race that's taking 4:18. The fastest run Supremes on good ground, you're looking in a range from like 3:45, which is Constitution Hill's course record, to 3:52. So he's going to have to show more pace than he's had to show before. I don't think he's short of it. I think the way he got himself out of that pickle at the DRF is testament to that. But ultimately, I'm slightly conflicted on him. I do think he's a seriously good horse. I think he might have been an even bigger player in the Turners.
Let's check out a horse who at this stage only has a maiden hurdle win to his name. It was at Thurles on his last start. This is El Kairos, who's the big hope here for Gordon Elliott and Jack Kennedy. Don, to me, the really interesting thing about this horse, just leaving aside the obvious ability and potential he has to be an awful lot better, Gordon Elliott has got Ballyfad, he's got Skylight Hustle. Both of those have the form tying in with Talk the Talk, who we've spoken about. They're both being diverted to the Turners tomorrow. This is the big hope for the stable here. How much should we read into that?
Yeah, loads, Gary. Look, that's obviously significant. He has to be an awful lot better than what is shown here if he's going to win a Supreme Novices Hurdle. He's beaten Rock Dino there by 3 lengths, that you mentioned earlier on. Mighty Park beat him by 38 lengths. He'd probably improved from that run to Thurles, but he was unlucky to fall at the last at Leopardstown. He had your heart in your mouth there as well. A Thurles going to the last. But look, there's no doubting his talent. It's a good horse for David Maxwell last year. He ran well in the bumper here, so he's got Cheltenham Festival form as well. And Gordon Elliott and Jack Kennedy, they've been raving about him, and that's important, and that's something for sure, even in form analysis, that you have to factor into all of that. But I think it's the kind of regard in which he's held more than his form that's contributing to his contracted price.
Serious X factor there as far as he's concerned. And Dan, one who I think still retains plenty of upside as well, potentially, is My Daddy Paddy. Now, we haven't seen him since he lost that 100% record in the Grade 1 at Aintree to Idaho Sun, who sadly hasn't made it to Cheltenham this week. Should we keep the faith with this horse, Stuart?
I absolutely think we should. I think there's an assumption which is just incorrect, really, that these races where they emit flights become speed tests and they suit the ex-flat horses, and I don't think they do. I think you have jumpers that, because of the unfamiliarity of the situation, including for jockeys, they end up pressing on much further out than they would ordinarily do. At this stage, they're trapping 2.5 out, whereas in reality, what might have happened at the flight spin there, a case of the race not developing until the run-in, and I just think that was against My Daddy Paddy, who looks a notably fluent jumper. Idaho Sun's no mug anyway. He was one of the best of the British horses in the Champion bumper last season that has worked out so well. But I do get the feeling that if you'd have run that race around here on drying ground with a full complement of flights, he'd have beaten Idaho Sun. I think he might have beaten him convincingly. And I reflect back, not just the impression he created in a bumper at Huntingdon, which has been a rich source of winners. Machan 2 won that, and horses of that calibre, Crambo 2. But the way he sauntered clear in the Haydock race, I just thought it was a burst of acceleration, a bit like El Kairos that he has, where he marked himself out as a very, very good novice hurdler. And the runner-up, yes, he's a staying tight, Kotek Dudari, but he went and finished second in a Grade 2 race at Kelso, that Premier Novice Hurdle over last weekend.
This is such a good race. We haven't even spoken about horses like Sober Glory or Leader Dallier, and they're very much in the mix here. I think you'd have to say as well, even some of the long shots you can make a case for there at bigger prices. Nailing the colours to the mast on. I think El Kairos has actually edged out to a big enough price to tempt me in now. What's your final thought for now?
Yeah, he's got out to a big price, all right. Definitely bigger than he was. Of the big outsiders, I think Too Bossy for us is really interesting. Thought he won well the last day. The race that Ethical Diamond had won for the same connections, and I can see him running a big race at a massive price. But no, I'm a Talk the Talk fan. I just love what he's been doing. Thought he was unlucky not to win the first Grade 1. Even the Grade 3 race that he won at Fairyhouse was really impressive, the 4-year-olds race. I thought he did really well to get up and win the last day against good horses. He finished off his race strongly. His closing sectionals were good, and also he showed that kind of willingness to get there. So I think he's got all the attributes.
Dan, the final word goes to you.
With My Daddy Paddy. Whether he goes toe-to-toe in a battle and comes out on the right side of it, whether he's a big finder, I don't know, but I'm convinced he'll travel like the best horse for a long way, and I think he's got loads and loads of pace. Interesting, Sober Glory 7s now. That's a serious move, isn't it?
Yeah, I actually thought he might have moved the other way.
Yeah.
He was weak enough in the days leading up to the big one. But anyway, we shall see. What a race to kick things off here on day one of the festival. Let's go back to Angus now for some more in-depth analysis.
Gary, thank you very much indeed. Yeah, time to have a look at what Talk the Talk actually achieved when winning at the DRF. It's worth putting some numbers on this. Visually, you would have been able to tell that he was held up in a slowly run race and he got up on the line, picking up really well in the closing stages. But I'd like to put some numbers on it because he deserves a sectional upgrade for what he achieved on this particular occasion. There he is, highlighted towards the rear of the field as Ballyfad takes them along, and King Rasco Grey is up there as well. They, of course, finish second and third. They have a positional advantage over Talk the Talk. The early fractions were very steady. For example, they went 16.98 through the third furlong, 16.27, 16.94, 17.02. It was pedestrian, but nonetheless, Talk the Talk was able to pick up horses who basically were getting first run on him. And he did that by showing loads of speed. There he is, big white face towards the outside, 14th furlong of 13.6 when he began to pick up. That was after a 15.5. Then a 13.17, the fastest furlong in the race, 34.62 miles an hour, getting himself into contention. That was his penultimate furlong. That was the fastest by some way in the race, and then he jumps the last well and 14.75 through the final furlong compared to the runner-up 15.07. Now, it gave him a finishing speed percentage of 113.1%, and all of the first four home had finishing speed percentage above 110. So what he did there was not just overcome a positional disadvantage. What he did was go and catch horses who weren't stopping. They were quickening in front of him, but he was still able to go and pick them up. And his final four furlongs on the day were the fastest final four furlongs at the whole of the DRF. And also the top speed that he reached of 34.62 miles an hour was the fastest speed any horse achieved at the DRF. Right, green line is Talk the Talk here. Now, when the line goes down, they are quickening up. The red is Ballyfad, and this is a visual interpretation of the sectionals. Look where they quicken up there. They've gone steady, and suddenly, bang, they quicken. And that 13.17 from Talk the Talk took him clear. And you can see there through the final couple of furlongs, that big discrepancy between the two lines. Talk the Talk much quicker than Ballyfad, but he did that from a poor position, and he's come home really strongly. 113.1, his finishing speed percentage, absolutely flying home, and basically the fastest horse at the DRF this year. He deserves a massive upgrade, and he's a big player, of course, in the Supreme, our first race at 1:20 this afternoon. Here's Tom and Niall.
Just counting between us, 59 Cheltenham Festival winners. Tom, Ruby and myself have rode. Great to be here.
It's great. It is great to be here. Yeah. It's always good to be here, isn't it? I was just actually coming in through the back of the media centre there, like, and you see the throngs of people outside waiting for the gates to open. Which is
some appetite, hasn't it?
It is some appetite.
Next week they'll be talking about next year's Arkle.
But like queuing up at 10:30, the first race not till 1:20. Like, fair play to them.
Yeah. You still got that same feeling you got when you were riding when you come here?
No.
Very different.
Very different. No pressure now. The worst thing that could happen to me is I might fall off this chair. The one in the truck is even lower. So no, look, I love coming here. You love watching it for the sport, but no, like, I was in a very lucky position that when I was coming here, when I was riding, like, there was expectation and pressure, and the pressure of expectation was more so than the pressure of pressure. If I kind of explained that half right, but no, I don't miss it either though. I had great times here, I loved it, and I feel lucky to have had
it. Different this year. I want to talk about the last hurdle. It's going to change the complexion of race riding, is it?
Nah, does it? Race riding, I suppose, a little bit maybe. It's back to where it was going 8 of 2009, one there. But when you're round off the bend, Niall, that hurdle seems much closer to you.
Yeah.
So people tend to sit till they get over the last hurdle and then race from there home. I don't think it'll change the results.
It might make it easier for Harry Skelton, Mike Daddy Paddy, Jack Kennedy and El Carras, 2 horses that'll be held up.
Yeah, they want to get over the last to have their go.
Yeah.
But if you're following up a horse like Leader Dahlia or Sober Glory or an All Park Star that goes off the bend, attacks the last, and you're sitting 2 down waiting to get over it, like I know it's a furlong and a bit of a run in, but you're trying to run down good horses.
Up a hill.
Yeah, it's not like you're trying to run down in a maiden hurdle where you've got 20 pounds in hand.
Yeah.
A lot of races here, you're trying to run down really good horses. So, no, you'll still have to be on their tails. You won't be able to go to the last and show jump it.
And Tom, you were saying about the ground, it's probably as tight as the horses have.
I couldn't believe it.
So wet.
Yeah, when I was out there walking,
wet.
I couldn't believe how firm it was.
Yeah, it'll be tight on top, but this place, once they gallop on it, and that'll suck the lads into going. You'll think, you come down the straight the first time, geez, this is a bit livelier, and you go up in the gear, and then you realise that halfway, actually, this is dead as hell. And I think it'll be quite dead.
Slightly revamped day this year, the way it looks with the 4 handicaps and the mare's hurdle having moved. Are you a fan of the changes?
No.
Really?
I look, I hope I'm wrong, but I think by 5 o'clock, punters will be screaming for the chance to get stuck into voodoo, so they'll have a few quid tomorrow. That's the other way of looking at it. Like, I understand what the move was for or why they were trying to move it, but I think today has become really difficult from a punting point of view. And ultimately, if the punters get skint on Tuesday, what are they going to use Wednesday? You know,
never mind Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I just think, like, I can see the logic behind it, but I think there could be a lot of people here by 5 o'clock wishing they had a mare's hurdle to plough into a shorty.
Yeah.
Wishing there was a Willie Mullins 4-timer to go to war with.
Not even that. That didn't happen. I decked her, didn't I? But it was still a 4-timer, but the wrong one. But not even like a Cuiviga or a Voodoo as it would be in this year's race.
Sure thing, almost,
you know what I mean? You have to get some few quid in the pocket, like.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are we going to get a few quid in the pocket with the Champion Hurdle? It's hard, isn't it?
That to me is a race I will watch for the beauty of watching a horse race.
Yeah, I went around circles.
I say it here.
Yeah.
And then he went around the circle and made it square.
Yeah.
It's so difficult. Like, you can even, like, Golden Ace to her credit, is so consistent.
Yeah.
But still in the back of your mind you're thinking, she got lucky twice.
Yeah. Can she do it?
Can she get lucky a third time?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe she can.
Are you willing to give Brighterdaysahead another chance back at Cheltenham?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah.
She had a knock last year, didn't she? And before that, the race wasn't really one to sue.
I think she left her season in Leopardstown last year.
Yeah.
With that massive performance at Christmas, and she's built through her season this year, so make a strong case for her. I think if the new line gets it right jumping wise, I think he has the pace, I think he has the speed, I think he has the ability. He just has to jump. And I think if his cheek pieces sharpen up Lossy Mouth and she can travel through the first furlong or 2 or 3 furlongs on their tails, she's a huge runner as well. Now, I think ultimately, I've always worried about her at the trip. I think she's better over a bit further, but in this race, she may well be good enough. You could talk around and round and round, can't you?
I was quite surprised to see cheap pieces put on, to be honest. I always thought she was was pretty straightforward, particularly around here.
Probably help her early in the race.
It helped her early in the race. It's helped her, like when Burdett Road went hard in the Christmas hurdle, she was caught on the back foot. When El Fabiola went hard in Leopardstown, she was caught on the back foot.
Yeah.
It's just to help her, because you look at it, you think, well, Tutti Conti won't be hanging around.
No.
Neither will Brighter Days Ahead. You look at it on paper, you can see a strong gallop here, you can see this being end to end. So I'd say it was just to help her through the first couple of furlongs now.
And Golden Ace, of course, coming back to try and repeat last year. And got to have a chance.
She has, and she's the readable one.
Yeah.
She'll be 4th, 5th on the outside. Larkin Williams keeping an eye on all those inside him. She's readable and she's dead reliable, very consistent, and she is the defending champion.
And she is, and it's great, Jeremy Scott. He's done a great job with her.
Super. And I did really enjoy that last year when you watched the West Country racing fans welcoming Jeremy Scott back in last year. I thought they were great scenes.
Yeah, absolutely right. I completely agree. The first race on the card, Ruby, this year I think is an absolute cracker. We've seen some strong Supremes in the past. This has to be right up there, I think.
I think there's 7 good novices here.
Yeah.
And that's not being disrespectful to the other 5, but there's 7, and any one of the 7 you could see winning. All Park Star, Mighty Park,
El
Carras, Leader Dahlia, Talk the Talk, Sober Glory, My Daddy Paddy. There's 7 good horses, like.
Sober Glory will go forward, so no, it'll be.
Yeah, I think he's a massive chance. All Park Star will be up there.
Have you seen him, All Park Star? Have you seen him in flesh yet?
I saw him here at trials.
Yeah. Knock your eye out.
He would, wouldn't he?
Knock your eye out.
Yeah.
He's something chasing next year, wouldn't he? Yeah.
But he's the kind of horse that really keeps surprising the 7 Barrows team. I came down the lift with Nicky after he won here in December, and he says, Jesus, that was a surprise. He says, you wouldn't see that at home. Yeah, and usually they're the kind of race horses you want.
Yeah, I was interested as well by your comments yesterday with the Supreme with Lydia on the road to Cheltenham. You said that you quite fancied Leader Dahlia and Sober Glory against the others. I think they're bigger prices than they should be.
Yeah, I just thought maybe the prices are gone a little bit now, but like with so many firms, especially the first race, first day, it'd be a bit hard for the people who are here on course. They won't get the same terms, but like so many of the firms will be betting each way first 5.
Yeah,
and they're good each way prices. I think there could be results across the board. Like
I back the old Carros.
Yeah, and I can easily see why and how you could win.
He could come there cantering. He could. You know, he could. What did he do off the bridle? He probably edge left, but.
That's not a bad thing at this time of year. Obviously, if you're looking at Cheltenham, you think winter and December, you want to be right against the standside running rail, but come March, the best of the ground, the freshest of the ground is usually over the other side, or in the middle of the track even, so edge and left's not a bad thing.
Speaking of John Pullen, they could get 10 mils. Thursday night. The old track, new track, they're like chalk and cheese. People always say, oh, you could be a Cheltenham horse, Cheltenham will suit him.
Which
but
one?
The two Cheltenham, aren't they? They're
crazy,
chalk and
isn't
cheese.
it?
Yeah, they're
it's
chalk
crazy.
and cheese.
You kind of have to come here and see it and walk it to understand it. But it's all to do with the top of the hill, and which one turns and just shoots down, and the other just goes over the top and gradually winds its way to the bottom. But they are. Look, it's a fabulous place. There's a great crowd coming in. I think they'll be good racing. Do you?
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, really looking forward.
What about Jaguar? Where do you stand on him?
Well,
I like Mark
I'm
Walsh.
taking him on, but I mean, I do fear him enormously. I think he could easily be a Grade 1 horse in the handicap, potentially.
I've been thinking that all year, but he still hasn't won the handicap.
Yeah, I think he wants one run near the winning post. And
yeah, I don't know. I'm after watching him back there this morning again against Donica. Like he was in the right place all the way.
Yeah.
No, I think I've given up on Jaguar myself.
I haven't backed him. I can see his chance, but.
How about the Fred Winter?
It's really boring, but I think the Winston Jr.
Yeah, Faye Brownling's also got a
big chance. Winston Jr. I think is well handicapped, and the Henderson filly, Magda.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of bid on Quinta del Lago for Jesse Harrington actually.
Yeah, won the Academy Hurdle early on.
Got first time cheap pieces on, I think it might help.
Might help him, was right. I thought it was really tricky. Winston Jr. maybe. Yeah, I thought that was difficult as well. And the national chase, where are you on that?
One big bang actually for the British. I think James Owen's got a good chance there, stepping up in trip. The Dan was a half sister to Madison de Burley, so it should stay. And they always said he was going to be a better chaser, so I'm confident of a good run from him.
Grand Jest, 16's Joel Parkinson's done a good job since obviously a joint license with Sue Smith, but he's only had 4 or 5 runs over fences, won a Grand National Trial, he won a Tommy Whittle. You don't see him jump, and he's as laid back, he'll be walking around like a hunter. He'll waste no petrol the whole way around. I think he's been overlooked a bit. I think he's a solid horse. He's about 16 to 1.
Yeah, I think the penalty back me or sack me got in Leopardstown might ultimately cost him. I thought Carasso Blue, Gordon and Jack Kennedy, thought that had a good chance. Maybe a bit young for the distance, but I'd say he's a fairish tool as well. There's no, you look down through it, there's no one race you think,
but it's better.
I'll go for coffee for that one.
No,
absolutely right. Yeah.
And it's more competitive. Willie's had a stranglehold the last few years, and other horses been odds on. It can be a bit boring. Whereas proper, if your opinions are right, you'll get paid.
Well, exactly. But I still do think that 6 competitive races would have done and 1 penalty kick just so we all had something to go home with. Would have been fine, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would have been.
You're never happy.
Somewhere.
You're never happy.
I just think that was always the beauty of the Mayor's Hurdle. No matter what had gone wrong, you get out on QV or get out on Lossy Mouth or whatever.
Not only power, if you decked her.
Look, if you'd done the singles, you were fine.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've got to mention the Arkle quickly as well, Ruby didn't touch on that, but as a spectacle, how much are you looking forward to watching it?
It'll be a cracking contest. Cargeese will go. I think Irish Panther not running changes it slightly, as in there's no pressure on her to keep forcing her forward. Kopek, he does what chasers have to do now, and he gets up in front. Now he's probably as accurate as hit as he can land static at times. He lands a bit on all fours. You can't do that too often.
Right.
But I think he's made a better shape at jumping fences than I thought he would. I thought watching him as a hurdler, I'd hate to be riding him in a chase. But he definitely makes a better shape than I thought he could.
Yeah, the Lamba had been worried. They had a flat spot.
Yeah, I think he will. It depends on how hard Cargeese goes. Like he hit
She's
a
runner, isn't she?
She is a runner. He hit a flat spot early in Sandown, but Sandown has 2 fences and a long run to the third. He was able to get back into it, and he did jump brilliantly down the back in Sandown. Don't think he jumped as well in Newbury, but I could see him coming back next year and winning a Ryanair as a 6-year-old, and maybe being a Gold Cup as a 7-year-old. I could see Kopek de Boer come back next year as a champion chaser.
Lambert screams to me King George next year, actually.
He's something like that, doesn't he? So I probably on the day, Kopek.
Yeah, I agree.
With 6-4 the last time I looked, each of 2, and that probably tells the tale, doesn't it?
Cargezo with that race she had at Leopardstown, do you think?
Yeah, I would. I get what people are thinking or saying about that, and look, it's all opinion. No one's going to know until she runs, but I do think with the fact that it was her third start, it was Romeo Coolio's fourth start, they're hard fit.
Yeah.
They can take the races when
it's first time out, you can empty
can't. You gut them first time, whereas they have the miles in the legs, they tend to be able to take them.
Yeah. Good stuff. Right, we'll catch up tomorrow. We'll have no doubt tip 7 losers.
Go somewhere a little bit warmer tomorrow.
Yeah. You're getting soft.
I'm rattling.
You're getting soft.
I'll definitely rest for tomorrow.
Yeah. Right, good stuff from Ruby Walsh. More from him throughout the week.
Yeah, and we look forward to that, Niall. Thank you very much indeed. We're going to have a look at the Arkle now. Here are the last 10 winners then of the Singer Arkle Challenge Trophy Novices Chase Grade 1. Of course, Duvan, Altior, Footpad, Duke de Genevieve, Put the Kettle On, Aidan Coleman, Henry de Bromhead, Shishkin, of course, for Nico de Boinville and Nicky Henderson. Alan King won it with Edwardston, El Fabiolo, wow. Paul Townend and Willie Mullins. Gaelic Warrior, we'll see him on Friday, Willie Mullins and Paul Townend. And Django Bai, we'll see him taking on Gaelic Warrior with a bit of luck on Friday in the Gold Cup. He won it last year for Nicky Henderson. And can Nicky do it again?
But Lulamba, driven out by James Bowen, going away to reverse Cheltenham form with Poneros. Lulamba beats Poneros. Hello, neighbour.
Lulamba, and this is a good first step over fences. Not as many as he might like to have jumped, but he jumped most of them pretty sound. He's won by about 8 lengths.
He's cruising to success in the Betfair Henry VIII Novices Steeplechase. He'll make it 2 out of 2 over fences. Lulamba has won it easily.
Nicky Henderson represented by Lulamba, classy hurdler, who's taken pretty well to chasing. Could jump better, you'd say, but he warmed to his task when he won at Sandown. He got better as the race went on. He wasn't particularly good over his fences against older horses at Newbury last time, but he has such a big engine, and that might be good enough to guide him to success in the Arkle. But although there are not many runners, it's a pretty competitive affair. Lulamba's 11 to 8 with Bet365. Kopek de Bourg, the supreme winner from last year, 6 to 4. Only had the benefit of 1 run over fences. He won, of course. Cargasi, a very interesting run. He got the mare's allowance, getting £7. She's 11 to 2. 14 Steel Ally. Jax Jr. 25s. And Hansard 125s. 6 go then. Lulamba is now favourite, only narrowly ahead of Kopek de Bourg. And Lulamba, of course, is trained by Nicky Henderson.
Lulamba goes for the Arkle. We didn't see him this morning, but there's lots of talk, as always, when it comes to the Arkle, and Kopek de Bourg's owners are having their say, Romeo Coolio's owners are having their say. What do you think of the two that he's got to come up against in Kopek de Bourg?
Well, I think I've got a lot of respect for them both. I mean, Kopek de Bourg, obviously, he's got the Cheltenham form behind him. We've only seen him once, but we hear he's doing great things. We're just concentrating on doing our great things and getting ready for what's thrown at us. He's been very good. He obviously didn't need to come here, and he ran Newbury a fortnight ago.
How impressed were you with him in the game spirit?
I was still with him because where he was strong was we went round the inside because there was a strip of ground down there, and he had to learn against seasoned proper 2-mile chasers. We're going to go that quite a step faster than novices go. And that was going to help him learn. And what I did like is, OK, he just didn't look comfortable for a moment turning into the straight, but he was behind 3 or 4 horses with nowhere to actually go. As soon as he got that bit of daylight after the third last, he was off and gone. And he winged the last 2, and I was very impressed with the way he quickened up and went away.
There is a bit of talk about him with speed and that he's more of a staying...
Well, you're going back it, but he's quicker than Django Bai last year. I mean, I'd be much more comfortable going into the Arkle with Lulamba than I was going into the Arkle with Django Bai.
He's a hell of a good horse, Lulamba. We're going to take you back to his win at Sandown on Tingle Creek Day in December. This, of course, was a Betfair Henry VIII Novices Chase. Dan, we'll just maybe speak about his chasing career in the round so far. What have you made of it? Do you think he is progressing the way you'd like to see run to run?
Yeah, I think he's just fulfilling his potential as much as anything. I think there are still a few creases to iron out. He spent a bit of time in the air in the game spirit, albeit he was thrusting against more established open 2-mile horses. he's just a youngster with an awful lot of ability. Should really be unbeaten, in my opinion. I thought like he shaped like the best horse in that Triumph by some way last season, but the effort of fending off East India Dock in the first place just left him vulnerable to the close of Poneros, and Don was early obviously making a case of Poneros being a potential live one for the Champion Hurdle at a price. So oh no! Oh god!
That wasn't a set-up, I promise.
It's the first loser of Champion Hurdle week. How do we come back?
We
from
got
this?
it all on videotape.
Let's turn
as
it
well.
round. Let's turn it round. Let's turn it round.
I told you to put a top on him. How many times?
I'm
Anyway.
more bothered about Don's trousers.
There we go.
I've never said that before.
Dry.
Oh, it's carnage.
Deary me.
Anyway,
all gone right. As you were saying.
How are we supposed to continue after that? Right, okay.
It was all going so well then.
Let's continue on Lulamba. Obviously, loads of ability. Showed that as a novice hurdler or a juvenile hurdler, and he arrives with the best piece of form, that Game Spirit win. But he has had the opportunity to run to a big figure courtesy of that. So he's the one that sets the standard, but there are others that will be snapping at his heels because they're open to so much improvement.
Don, I hate to come to you so quickly after that.
We're good.
Give us your thoughts on Lulamba's prospects. What have you made of his chasing career so far?
Yeah, like the Henry VIII chase that we saw there, it's not working out so well. Be Aware got beaten next time by no questions asked. The third horse as well got beaten as well since. So look, but as Dan was saying, he's a potential superstar in the making. His Games for a Chase win was impressive in the end. Through the middle part of the race, you would have been worried if you backed him, and that was a race for another 2.5 miles a furlong on heavy ground. The Arkle's a totally different test. It's a speed test. The time of that race at Newbury was 18 seconds slower than the time of last year's Arkle. So the Arkle's not even 2 miles. It's 1 mile 7 furlongs, 200 odd yards. So it's a real speed test. And to me, I think he's going to come under pressure at some point through the race. And then it's just a case of when his turbo kicks in, and if he has the time and the real estate, and then the energy to be able to make up the ground and go and win it. And because he could, but I suspect his future may lay over further. But sure, look, Django Bay, who won the Arkle last year, he's a Gold Cup horse this year.
Yeah, and not the first to go that route either. One of the horses who could be putting him under pressure, one would imagine, as Don alluded to there, is of course Gobek de Board, last year's Supreme Novice Hurdle hero. Brilliant winner that day, ultra talented horse, Don. Unfortunately, though, we've only seen him once over fences so far this season. That's left a bit of a vacuum. There's been a lot of talk in the intervening period. We've heard really bullish reports about these mock races, almost schooling sessions, where some Grade 1 horses have been thrown in there against him, and he seems to have dismissed them pretty readily. But this is clearly going to be a different ball game today. How ready do you reckon he will be for it?
Yeah, look, he comes from Willie Mullins' yard, Gary, so every chance he's got to be ready all right. It's not ideal. This is back in November. He hasn't run since then, and I know the Western Horse and Well Chief, they both won the Arkle in the back of one run, but they were kind of jumping hurdles in the early part of the season and then had a run over fences. It's different. It's going to be a big training performance by Willie Mullins, even Willie Mullins, if he can go and get him to win an Arkle on the back of the preparation that he's had. But he was top class novice hurdler last season. He won the Supreme here, and that day at Navan. His jumping warmed up as the race went on. His last 3 fences were his best. His last jump was his best, and then he went by the line. It took him about 1.5 furlongs to pull up. So there was an awful lot to like about that run at Navan. It's a pity he's had that setback. Pity we haven't seen him since. Great that he's here. He's a real kind of obviously unknown factor in the race based on the preparation that he's had. But again, really talented horse, and yeah, he's got pace as well. So you can see why he's still high in the market.
Of course, Willie Mullins has got a good second string to his bow here as well, in the shape of Carghese, who won the County Hurdle pretty readily here 12 months ago. Danny Mullins has the ride on Carghese today. He knows her pretty well. And Dan, a bit like Lulamba, she was a very good juvenile hurdler. She hung around over hurdles a bit longer than the Henderson horse. But I know you feel she can have a part to play today. Just maybe flesh out why.
Yeah, she obviously is getting the £7 allowance, which, I mean, put the kettle on. Took advantage of that a few years ago now. I feel it's more, for me, there's a level of surprise when a mare who isn't as physically imposing as a horse like Lulamba or Gobek de Board proves so natural over fences. First time out needed the run seemingly when Calla Conti beat her, but has gone from strength to strength since. And I just thought she emerged with so much credit in the race against Romeo Coolio. The fact that Romeo Coolio has chosen not to go for an Arkle or Connections have, and they're going for the 3 mile novice, tells you a fair bit about what type of horse we're dealing with in Romeo Coolio. And for lots of the race, she even comes back for more at the end, which might have been 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because I think Romeo Coolio felt he'd done enough at that point as Jack started to take things easy. But don't focus on the slow finish, where it's become really demanding between the pair. Focus on how she jumped and travelled for so much of the way, and that was what I was most impressed with. She looks very nimble, fleet-footed, loads of speed. 2 visits to the festival have yielded that county hurdle win in clear-cut fashion, and also finishing second to Madgeborough in a Triumph Hurdle. So I think there's a lot to like about her, and yes, if one of the other two come up to expectations, they probably will beat her, but I certainly thought last week, when there were still 3 places available, that she was the way to go in the market.
Just speaking of Willie Mullins, bit of breaking news. Leader Dallier is out of the Supreme Novice Hurdle with the vets. Understand he's lame, so no Leader Dallier in the curtain raiser this afternoon. Don, Cargesi's a mare you like as well. I don't think she's a bit par player here either. How big a threat, though, can she be to the other two?
Yeah, she's a classy mare, Gary, as Dan was saying. Like, she's got pace. That was 2 miles in a furlong the last day at Leopardstown on soft ground. And she was beaten by a really good stayer at the trip in Romeo Coolio. And actually, she made the mistake that she made at the final fence. You didn't really get you couldn't appreciate the magnitude of it from the kind of head-on view, but from the overhead camera, she really lost a lot of momentum, and she did well to even get going again. She'd be better suited by Cheltenham, better suited by better ground, and the 2 mile trip, just 2 miles. She's run here twice. She finished second behind Madgeborough in a Triumph Hurdle in a race in which they had it between them from a long way out, and he essentially outstayed her in that Triumph Hurdle, and then she won the County Hurdle last year. So she's got really good form at the track. She gets the mare's allowance, or she's got a hurdles mark of 152. If you add her £7 mare's allowance to that, in theory, then that puts her right up into the hurdles mark of into the ballpark of what you're looking for in an Arkle winner. And look, Lamba or Kopek de Board, they could be superstars in the making, and if they are, and if they produce that superstar performance today, she won't beat them. But I think she's rock solid. I think she's going to be up there handy from early, and I think she's going to run a race, yeah.
Right, we've one more to show you. That's Steel Alley, or Steel Ally if you prefer. We're going to have a look at his win at Warwick last time. He's taken the fences really well for Sam Thomas this season, unbeaten in 3 starts. The suspicion, Dan, is that he's got a fair bit more on his plate today. Mambo number 5 is actually a non-runner today, was back in behind in 3rd on this occasion. Can he get in amongst the big guns, do you reckon?
That's the suspicion I have, and as well, Gary, that this calibre of novice form just isn't quite of the level that it doesn't mark him out anyway as a brilliant novice. He's been really solid, starting out at Carlisle in a graduation chase. They didn't go into a novice first time. They were happy to tackle more established horses, and he's gone from strength to strength. But Mirabad hasn't advertised this form. Mambo number 5 didn't run a race, and it'd be slightly disappointing for the race, which could promise, as Don's saying, if Cargesi runs to high 150s, 160-ish in receipt of a mare's allowance, there's going to be champion chase calibre performances from Lalamba and Kopek de Board if they're going to lower her colours. Has Steel Ally really got that level in him? I definitely have doubts, and I feel his form is a fair way behind the other 3 bigger guns.
Right, a final check on the betting then. Lulamba just favourite now ahead of Kopek de Board. These prices with bet 365, 11-8 and 6-4, 11-2 Cargesi, 14 Steel Ally, Jacks Jr. 25 and Hansard at 125-1. Let's sum it up then, guys. A lot of enthusiasm for Cargesi, I'm detecting, Don. Can she come out on top?
Yeah, I think she's got a good chance, Gary. Better than suggested by odds of 11-2, but it's a hell of a race. It's a small field, but I mean the Arkle usually is a hell of a race. We're just dying to see how it's going to pan out. You've got the Lulamba factor, that kind of engine that he has. Kopek de Board coming back after a break, a far from ideal preparation. Cargesi sets the standard. She had a hard race at Leopardstown, so she's going to have to bounce back, or at least show that hasn't had an effect on her. I agree with Dan. Steel Ally probably will prefer softer ground as well. The Pendle winner as well, Jacks Jr. comes into it, but yeah, look, it's been billed as the match between the top 2, but again, I think Cargesi, if there's value in the race, then she's it.
Final thoughts, Sendan?
Yeah, same. Obviously, it was a better bet last week when there were 3 places on offer. I managed to get Loda Sud out of the 3 last year when only 5 ran, so I'm hoping Lightning doesn't strike twice. I think she'll run her race, and I think she's very solid, but we might see something special there if she runs a race and doesn't win.
Great race, tricky one to call. Let's see what Angus thinks, but I think he might be going to make a case using the race IQ data for Cargesi as well. You don't know a good dry cleaner in Cheltenham by any chance, Angus?
I'll let you know, Gary. We'll see if we can find one for you. Go and dry out, lads. Yeah, I want to have a look at Cargasi. Quite simply, she's a very good jumper of fences. She's a better jumper of fences than she was over hurdles. Her lifetime race IQ jump index is 9.0. She was 8.5 her lifetime over hurdles. And that makes her one of the best jumpers in the Race IQ database. And she's a novice. So let's have a look at a good round of jumping from her. And it came at the DRF last time in defeat to Romeo Coolio. We'll just fence hop them around for you. You've got some data at the top left-hand side of your screen. Look at her jump index for this race, 9.2. She gained 6.23 lengths. They went very hard, and that's why they finished tired. Her finishing speed percentage, 92.83. So she was okay there, 7.6 over the first fence, much better over the second, 8.8 out of 10. This is measuring, remember, efficiency and speed through the jumping envelope, 30 metres before to 30 metres after the fence. She's very quick and efficient, 8.9 there at the fourth fence. Really good here. She's quick. She looks to skew in the air, but she's really quick. 9 for her there. She replicates that there with another 9. This is a brilliant round of jumping from her, and ground that's possibly too soft for her. And although she makes an error there, we still gave her a 9 because she was very quick to regather her momentum. Skews in the air a bit, but 8.2 at the next. She's going to be really good at this one. Bang. Out jumps Romeo Coolio there, and she's travelling really strongly. Not bad there either, with a 7.8, not quite as good as the previous fence. And now we come down to the last, and she makes a right mess of this. 4.5, and she loses 8.69 miles an hour. This cost her the race. She lost a load of speed, and Romeo Coolio just saw the trip out a bit better than her. Although, to her credit, she rallies in good style in the closing stages. The thing about her is, if she'd been on better ground with that quick, slick jumping, she'd have been away and gone, I think, from Romeo Coolio turning for home. She wants better ground, and she's very fast and she's very efficient over her fences. She's the best jumper in the race by a mile. Look at this. Lulamba's career jump index. He's not the best jumper. According to the Race IQ data, he's the worst jumper in the race. 6.8 his jump index. He's quite big and he balloons some of his fences and he might get caught out. Kopek de Board, bit unfair this number. He's only run once over fences. 7.1 for that effort. He might, of course, be capable of much better than that. Cargasi, 9. Steel Ally, a 7.5. So she's easily the best jumper. She's getting £7 because of the mare's allowance from her rivals. She's better on better ground that she'll get today because it allows her to use her speed. And her Cheltenham record is really good. She's only run twice. She won the county hurdle and she was second, beaten just over a length in the Triumph hurdle by Madgeborough. So she goes well here on spring ground and she's the best jumper in the race by some way. Shame there aren't 8 runners for an each way go on Cargasi, but nonetheless she's going to run very well indeed, I think, in the Arkle this afternoon. Let's go back to the track now and join Niall.
Well, the gates are open and the sun is out, and them two things will make Guy Lavender, CEO here at Cheltenham, very, very happy indeed. How have you planned this?
Well, luck with the weather, but a lot of hard planning has gone into today. We opened the gates at 10:30. Racegoers have been streaming in. The sun's shining. The racecourse looks immaculate. It's a beautiful day. And we're just looking forward to a thrilling 4 days. And the race programme today is sensational, so it's going to be brilliant.
Ruby Watts, we just spoke to him a minute ago, and he was saying he was trying to get through, and the people queuing up before the gates are there. It's a great sign, and the thirst for Cheltenham just seems to never wane.
Yeah, it really does, and we're going to see growth in attendance this year from last, which is where we want to be. We've invested a lot into the racecourse to try and make it better for racegoers, and it's really, really exciting. And you're right, there's this enthusiasm and excitement about the festival that it's difficult to put your finger on, but it's electric, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic today.
This time last year, you were sort of rushed in, weren't you? You didn't have proper time to settle in and get your feet under the table. How have you found it since?
Well, it's been great. We've had a whole year to plan, and inevitably you start planning the next festival as soon as the one previous goes. 25 was good, and then we've just done loads of changes, sort of relatively small things in one sense, reduced the price of a pint, made much better use of the temporary village for big, more undercover spaces, so if people are here, go to the retreat and have a look around. Enable people to move around the racecourse more freely with drinks.
Yeah, with the drink. So if you're getting a drink, you can wander around. You know, makes sense, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, well, I think there were some restrictions in the past, but we've removed those, and it's been sort of quite transformational because people can take a beer, no one's rushing to a bar, there are less queues, and you go and watch the racing. So things like that are sort of part of our commitment, just to deliver a better value and better experience to racegoers, and we're seeing that in growth and attendance, which is really what we want to do. The racing will look after itself this year. It's electric. It's amazing.
I think looking back in the last 12 months, horse racing as an industry, the figures have been good, haven't it? People coming racing, which is really important.
Yeah, I came from another sport. I came from cricket, and you come into racing, and there's a sort of sometimes a sense that it's in crisis. But if you look at what's happening in growth in Aintree, at Ascot, at Goodwood, and Cheltenham, there's a very positive story to tell. And the horses are the superstars and the jockeys. And I think if you look again, even at the Supreme today, the range of horses and quality is off the scale. So it really is the Olympics of jumps racing for us, and we're just so proud to be putting it on. And fingers crossed we can keep some sunshine for a few days.
And the forecast, we were speaking to John Pullen as well, but it looks like the ground's perfect today, good to soft. But for a race score experience, it's a beautiful day. It looks like the rain that we're going to get this week will be largely after racing, which we know what we're coming. We're National Hunt racing fans. We know we can get wet, but it looks like it might just be on your side again.
Yeah, well, we have a very hardy audience, as you know, but we might just dodge a bit of rain in the evenings, which should be good for the course, and the forecast changes, but it's not torrential, and it's always nice to start with a great day. And it looks perfect conditions today.
When the racing starts, do you get a chance to enjoy it, or are you always overseeing things?
Well, I'm generally on the move. We do loads of briefings. I walked the course with John Pullen this morning, and then loads of staff briefings, then gates open. But I'll take a moment, particularly on the first race, just to gaze around. There's a terrible tendency when you're running these things to sort of just hope that they're over and gone well, but you've got to enjoy the moment. These jobs are great privilege and lots of responsibilities, but you've got to enjoy it as well.
What will make Guy Lavender happy Friday evening?
Oh, I think a great racing, great experience for customers, and those are the main things. We're setting the theatre for lots of people's hopes, aspirations, and dreams, and we just want people to come and have a brilliant time. And I think we can get to Friday, having delivered everything that was in our control well. It'll be a great moment, and I shall enjoy a long and restful weekend, I'm sure.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, we're looking forward to broadcasting every race live here on Racing TV. Great to catch up.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Mark your car. Proudly sponsored by Timeform.
The all-new RacingTV.com, your home of live British and Irish racing. Take your racing viewing to the next level across mobile, tablet and desktop. With Racing TV Extra quad and pop-out screen options, you will never need to miss a minute of action again from any of our 61 racecourses. What's more, our expert tipsters are now providing daily video tips, and you can watch key video form clues all in one place. Plus, with our new improved race cards, fast results, and HD replays, you'll have everything you need to find your next winner at your fingertips. It's also never been easier to apply for our club days. So apply for a free day's racing for you and a friend now, and we'll see you at a racecourse soon. What are you waiting for? Head to racingtv.com or scan the QR code now to see for yourself.
Big news at Bet365. Yes, Rachel, Bet365 are boosting just about everything.
She's right. Last month, Bet365 boosted the odds on over 20,000 bets.
Really? That sounds like a lot.
It is, and Bet365 will do it all again this month.
With over 500 boosts available every day, download the app and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Mark your car. Proudly sponsored by Timeform.
I'm just going to give you some interesting news as regards Thursday. The declarations are in, and there's a few interesting headlines for you, starting with the Ryanair chase. It's very interesting that Fact to File will go to post in the JP McManus colours. He's one of 9 horses who have been declared, but he will be joined by John Bon. A little bit of a surprise declaration. John Bon will also carry JP's colours in the Ryanair on Thursday. Factor File, of course, will be ridden by Mark Walsh. Nico de Boinville on John Bon in the Ryanair tomorrow at Thursday at 4 o'clock. And here are those that have been declared. Banbridge and Sean Bowen, Croke Park and Jack Kennedy. Factor File, Mark Walsh, Hartwood, Darragh O'Keefe. Impere Pass, Paul Townend. John Bon, Nico de Boinville. JPR1, Brendan Powell. Master Chewy, Sam Tristan Davis and Matata and JJ Slevin. So 9 going to post in the Ryanair Chase, 4 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. OK, the Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle also on Thursday. The news to come out of the decks here is that Ballyburn will wear a first-time hood. You remember, he bows his head very low in his races and he can be a bit keen, so they're putting a hood on him. He's never worn that before. Paul Townend rides. Bob Ollinger and Darragh O'Keefe, he will be on board this fellow. Dolly the Great, James Bone, he's got headgear on as well for the first time. He's a big price. Gwenny May Boy, Charlie Todd, Hewitt and Paddy Hanlon. Home by the lead, JJ Slevin. Honesty Policy, Mark Walsh. Nico de Boinville was on Imposed Trois. Cabral Dumathan, if he stays, he's very interesting. Harry Skelton, Mashon 2, Harry Cobden and Tehupu won the race, of course, a couple of years ago. Jack Kennedy on board. 11 declared then for the Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle. Bit of news about the Mares Hurdle as well for you. There's 247 have been declared here. Dream on Baby, Donna Myler, Feet of Dancer, Sean O'Keefe. Jay DeGrugi's Paul Townend, Sam Ewings on Jatara. Sunset Marquesas, Brendan Powell. Harry Skelton take their chances. Woodoo will be the short price favourite. Jack Kennedy. Got some news about Bambino Fever for you as well. Bambino Fever in the novice, the Mares Novice, will wear a first-time tongue tie. She'll be favourite, I think, for the Mares Novice, and she'll wear a first-time tongue tie today. So the 3 bits of news. Tongue tie for Bambino Fever, Ballyburn in a first-time hood, and John Bon is in the Ryanair. Thank you if you've been watching on Freeview. It's been great to have you along, and do join us again tomorrow, or do join us. Do become one of our Racing TV members. But it's been good to have you along for the ride this morning. We are now going to have a look at the Ultima. Yeah, 3 miles and a furlong, this handicap chase this afternoon. 3:10 are the last 10 winners. Myatown last year, of course, for the Lucinda Russell team. Chianti Classico, Corrick Rambler a couple of times for Lucinda Russell and Derek Fox. Vintage Clouds, The Conditional, Beware the Bear, Coussar Sivola and Temportois winning it a couple of times for David Pipe in 2016 and 2017. Those are the last 10 winners. Then the Ultima handicap chase, Myatown winning last year. Here's Jaguar. JP McManus colours. He probably got a favourite, as I said, this time around. He's a horse with plenty of speed, and well, something he's been a little bit disappointing this season, but I think there's more to come from him. JP's got the second favourite as well, Iroko. So 3-1 and 13-2, those two. Highland, he's a good jumper, 9-1. Quebecois is 9-1. Myatown last year's winner, 10s. Handstands, a lot of talk about him from the Ben Pauling yard. Ben Jones, 12-1. Knight of Allen, 12s. Blaze the Way, 14s, and Johnny Who, 14s. 16s, Blow Your Wad. Imperial Saint, 18s, and 20s, Resplendent Grey. Leave of Absence is a 20-1 shot. It's 22-1. Confusion, 25-1. Bar those. Mark Walsh is on board at Jaguar. That's good news if you're a Jaguar fan, because his record at Cheltenham over the last 12 months has been very good indeed. In the last 12 months, he has had 14 rides. He's had 4 winners. His strike rate at 28.57%. Giving you an actual over expected of 1.93. That's based on the returned SP of the horses that he's ridden. So he's riding the winners that shouldn't necessarily win according to their SP, given that really good A over E. So a strike rate of 28.57% in the last 12 months for Mark Walsh. A man to be followed at Cheltenham for sure, and a pretty good chance, you'd have thought, in the Ultima. On the favourite Jaguar, here are the boys.
Angus, thanks a lot. I'm sure thrilled to get the ride, Mark Walsh on Jaguar. Looks to have a fantastic chance here this afternoon. Bit of a curveball from the McManus camp, and Oliver Greenall and Josh Guerriero, Dan, with Iroko in there as well. Let's concentrate on Jaguar, though, first of all. We'll have a look at his second place finish here last time. Winner at the festival last year. I think you were a little bit taken aback to see 3-1 next to his name there. Would you be against him at the price?
I'd have to be, I think. And if Iroko would have been that price, you wouldn't have been that surprised either. You know what I mean? It's not like we're dealing with a complete standout here. Look, his record around here is really sound, despite the fact he's not the most nimble jumper, but the step up to 3 miles might make a difference. Part of me was a bit disappointed he wasn't able to get past on this occasion. Admittedly, Donica's a tigerish little horse, but I thought with the length of the run in, with the fences out the way, he might go by. He didn't. But new trip today, he continued to pull clear of the rest, and clearly he's got his chance. But he's up again in the weights, and he's a 3-1 chance, so there's not even really an each way part to it. So respect his chance massively, but it's not like JP has got no other darts to fire in this race. 2 other potentially strong contenders within the same ownership.
And we're going to come on to Iroko now. We're going to go back to Betfair Chase Day, the big meeting in November, where he finishes second to the Jukebox Man, of course, in this graduation chase. Looks pretty tidy form in hindsight, Don.
Yeah.
The Grand National all along appears to have been his big objective this season. How surprised were you to see him thrown in here at the 11th hour?
Yeah, pretty surprised, all right. But you can understand why, Gary. The weights are done now for the Grand National, and it doesn't matter if he wins or how he performs. He's not going to alter his Grand National weight, and there's time between now and the Grand National. So you can see why he ran a big race in the National last year to finish 4th behind Nick Rockett. He was off a mark of 152 then. He's 157 now. He got £5 for winning at Ascot the last day. And yeah, look, this is him finishing second behind the Jukebox Man in the graduation chase at Haydock. That was his first run back, and it was the Jukebox Man's first run back as well since he won the Caddo Star chase. So he obviously improved from that to go and win King George. But Iroko, yeah, look, he's got good Cheltenham Festival form as well. He's a Martin Pipe Hurdle winner, and yeah, look, you can see him going well, and obviously significant that connections have put him in the race.
We're going to have a look at 2 horses next who are no stranger to big race success. They clashed all the way back in the early part of the season at Carlisle. Resplendent Grey and Handstands, the horses in question. Handstands, of course, Grade 1 winner as a novice. This was very much, Dan, I think, a starting point for both horses. But on the day, I thought Resplendent Grey did pretty well to win. It didn't work out for him, obviously, in the Coral Gold Cup at Newbury afterwards. What have you made of the way the path has stretched out for these 2 horses so far?
Well, I think Handstands has been the more disappointing of the pair. This day, he should, in theory, have been better suited by the test around Carlisle. He had short distance hurdles form, won a Sydney Banks, and instead, Resplendent Grey starting his season over 2.5 miles, having signed off his first campaign, winning a Bet365 Gold Cup, and he guns him down late on, and he's well on top at the finish. Plenty of positive talk about Handstands. I've been more lukewarm. I think the question with Resplendent Grey always is, can he get into a rhythm, and a better rhythm early on? He ran in the National Hunt Chase 12 months ago, and the writing was on the wall from an early stage. He's